But you can't, you know.
Sorry about that. You were so good.
Oh yeah, we've had that happen before too.
Do I have to go through that whole question again? All right, how about the love from Urban in that moment?
Again, it was this time in the game when things weren't quite done yet, and we had talked about it the whole time, halftime through the third quarter, about the finish of what we had to do. And so at the moment, at the time, with a minute and a half to go, we were still on a mission, and the big thing we had to do was finish that game. So the acknowledgement was big. It wasn't just big for me. It wasn't big for anybody in particular, but it was big for the entire unit, the entire defense. Those guys have worked so hard and you know, had some ups and downs, but to be acknowledged and something like that, but also to finish that game was something that was special for all those guys.
How Fickell, you shut them out of screen.
That was then.
The best performance by you and the entire team.
Well, it was, and to be honest with you, throughout the entire year, we've had some moments where we've played really good. The thing that has happened is at times we've had a little bit of lapses, and sometimes that's to youth, sometimes that's to whatever it is, sometimes that's to being up 3 or 4 touchdowns at times, and things you take a little step back and you relax a little bit, and you know, you let some guys get back into games and put some points on the board that really were unnecessary. But for those guys to mature past a lot of that, to finish, to focus, you know, and to finish it the way they did was a great night.
How will that kind of effort keep you in this game?
There's something that those kind of things do for you as well. You know, it's great, obviously, to have the shutout and all those things, but college football is a game of momentum. It's a game of confidence as well. And that's one of those things that going through a game like that and finishing like that and performing like that gives a lot of these guys a boost. It gives everybody a boost. And, you know, you knew it was inside them. You knew they had it. You just wanted to see it really come to fruition and see them really finish something like that. That goes a long way with momentum and confidence.
Why do you say you've never seen anything like this offense?
Again, this year we have not. You know, they got weapons all over the place, and I think that's the big thing. The thing that gets overlooked sometimes is the offensive line, and that's where the games start, and that's where they've been so successful over the, you know, obviously the last 7-8 years. That there's a lot of first-round draft pick running backs and things, but they aren't first-round draft pick running backs without great offensive lines, and I think that's the thing that sometimes gets overlooked in the midst of, you know, T.J. Yeldon and Amari Cooper and you know, the guys that are scoring the touchdowns and the names that everybody hears about. But the reality is that they're going to start up front, and they're going to go as their offensive line goes as well. And I think that's one of the big things that you know, we probably haven't seen an offensive line like this throughout the entire season. And you know, that's going to be a big challenge to a lot of our guys.
That's going to be a war up front.
It is. It's going to be a war up front. And if you spend too much time focusing on, you know, other things, you know, in particular Amari Cooper, you know, you focus on stopping the pass or some different things, and things can get away from you real quick, because if they can dominate the line of scrimmage, that's where the game's won.
Are there certain things that Lane's offenses have done well over the years that you always have to be on the lookout for?
Well, I mean, again, the big play strikes are something that any defense has got to warn against. And I think that's one of those things that you really see in the last 3 weeks, probably 3 of their best performances offensively that they've had, going back to the Auburn game and the Missouri game. But it's some of those big play strikes. You know, you see a little bit more of the tempo of things, that you can see them kind of probably coming into their own more so than they maybe did at the beginning of the year. You've seen some of the changes and those kinds of things. But I think that's where you start to say, hey, as that ball gets rolling, that's what you got to worry about. You can't allow that momentum to get rolling, them to get on that pace where they can hurry the game up and then give up the big shots.
How do you keep a balance then in preparing for an offense like Alabama?
Balance is the key to everything that you do. You know, I don't care what it is. If you're an offense and you don't have balance, it's somebody they can gang up on different things. So we can't lose focus. That's the big thing. Is everybody gets caught up with, like I said, with Amari Cooper and stopping Amari Cooper and stopping Amari Cooper. Well, that's not something you truly can do. I mean, you got to make sure you're smart and limit the things they can do. But if you focus on just one thing like that, the other things are what's going to kill you. So you got to have balance, and that's what, to me, that's what I think we've done throughout the entire season. Is we've had the ability defensively to, you know, to really continue to do what it is that we've done. Had balance in what we've done. You know, I'm not saying we've been stellar against every little thing, you know, not like we're number 1 in the country in rush defense or anything. But the reality is we've had balance in what we've done, and that's what we got to hang our hat on.
How you do the preparation, and you had the 3.5 weeks feel like the defense is getting the peak now this week? All right.
Well, we've kind of talked about it all year, and it's obviously the season goes in phases as well. But we didn't want our guys to be so worried and so focused on the evaluation of what we do and how we do throughout the entire season. The reality is we want them to focus on the moment, and that's why we kind of got rid of having all those goals and things, and we have objectives, because at 18 to 22 years old, it's pretty tough to look at those long-term things. Everything is instant nowadays. So objectives, just like we went into this preparation of this game in 3 phases. I'm sure Coach talked about the fundamental phase. The ability to get in condition, then the ability to introduce Alabama, and then the last phase of really truly preparing and honing our skills to play January 1st. And I think that's our guys have accepted that. You have to go through 15 practices for one game. It's hard sometimes to keep your mental focus, but the idea and the way the coaches went about it in the 3 phases, I think is really going to give us the opportunity to peak come January 1.
Coach, what kind of statement does your unit want to make in terms of showing the country you belong in the Final Four?
You know what? We can't get caught up in those kinds of things. I mean, obviously that's for everybody out there. We know we want to go out there and perform the way we have. Put everything together. Coach talks about 9 units strong defensively and offensively and special teams wise. But if we really truly get caught up in trying to prove something, I don't think that's what we go out there for. We go out there to play the game the right way. Put our best foot forward, and we truly believe that's good enough. Let everybody else kind of figure out based on what happens in the game at who belongs, because that's the beauty of what college football is. No matter what happens, these 4 teams will be scrutinized and picked apart up and down, regardless of what happens here in the next 2.5, 3 weeks. But I think that's what makes college football great. It keeps people talking about it for 10, 11 months of the year.
You're really complimentary of Cooper. What does he do that separates him from the normal players?
It's not just his ability to catch. To me, it's the runs after the catch. These guys that obviously can go up and make some big plays and catch the ball, but the ability to make something when there's nothing there. For a guy that can not only have the deep ball home run shots, but he can take a now screen and turn it into a touchdown a long distance. He does the intangible things. He's going to block. He's going to do some of those things that sometimes you don't see the guys. Sometimes the first rounders or the truly top dogs do. So I think. What we've seen, one of the most complete players we've played against.
Luke, how do you compare him to Sammy from a year ago, Sammy Watkins with Clemson? Any similarities?
I think there's going to be a lot of similarities. I don't know. I mean, I think maybe there was a little bit different in the way they use Sammy, but in the last 3 weeks, I think that's what I've noticed, from Lane's offense-wise, is finding ways, putting that guy wherever he can, motioning him in and out of the backfield, just finding different ways that they can get him the ball. So very, very similar in a lot of the things that they did with Sammy Watkins as well. I think that offense has maybe evolved a little bit closer to what we faced last year against Clemson.
Luke, obviously, this is going to be a different kind of an opponent, but was there any carryover from the performance in the Big Ten title game, just from maybe a swagger standpoint of your guys?
There's no doubt. I mean, this is, like we said, this is a game of momentum. This is a game of confidence. And if you don't have it, you better pray to find it. And that's one of those things that coming off that last week, the performance as we move throughout the entire season, that our guys have. They've got a confidence level. They've got some of that swagger. And it's not just about how they play, but how they finished. And I think that's a big part of what we do. And you got that momentum. That's why you're almost hoping you played this game 2 weeks ago, where you still had that momentum, you still had that great feeling in your body. But the reality is, it's January 1, and we're not going to make sure those guys don't lose sight of how they played that last game and what it takes to be successful in this game as well.
As you look at these guys, matchups, make fights, do you match up well with them, or are there going to be some?
Well, there's issues at times. I mean, again, defensively, sometimes the biggest thing we can do is try to put them on the defense. If we have to sit there and say, hey, we got to match up and try to stop every little thing that they do. Sometimes you say, hey, defensively, we won't be aggressive enough that they got to say, well, what do we do about a Joey Bosa? What do we do if they do this? What do we do if they do that? As opposed to us always sitting up in our rooms and worried about every little thing that they do. The reality is we've got our guys, they've got their guys. We're comfortable with who we got. And does that mean we're going to run a guy all the way across the ball or try to match up to specific things? No, we're confident in the guys that we got. They can do the the job that we ask him to do. You know, and then what it's going to come down to is in-game adjustments. You know, because when things start to happen, your ability to adjust and adapt throughout the entire game, because everybody's going to do some new things, is going to be the key to the ball game.
Going into the Big Ten championship game, none of us had seen Cardell really do anything. You've seen him in a little bit of mop-up time. You've obviously seen him a lot and played a lot of defense again. You know, you've seen quite a bit of him. What confidence? You talked to the guys; they had so much confidence in him going into that game. What did you guys see in him in the time that he was here that led him to have the game he had and now started this game?
Well, just like anything, it's all about opportunities. You know, and sometimes, you know, guys just don't get those opportunities. And when they do get their opportunities, what do they do with them? And I think that's the thing about Cardell is you know, he's been through some tough times in the sense that he's had some really, really good football players in front of him. And the situations have not ever, you know, you make your own situations, but the reality is sometimes you don't. And sometimes you don't get those opportunities. And finally, Cardell got his opportunity. He got it obviously in the spotlight time. And he took the most of it, and I don't see Cardell going backwards with it. You know, that's the interesting thing is you know, there's nothing momentum and confidence. It's really tough to stop. You know, and when a guy gets it, you know, they become a different person, and I think you can see a little bit of that in Cardell. You know, and that's probably one thing that he hadn't had. You know, and when he's got it now, man, it's, you know, you guys saw him. He's a different person.
Anything else for Coach Cookie? Okay, thank you. Coach, I'm leaving next door.
Okay.
I'll be ready for you in just a couple minutes.
Not a problem.
Coach, you been hanging here for a couple minutes?
Yeah. They all want to talk offense anyway. What's up? How are you?
Holidays are hard for you.
I can imagine. No, I can't imagine. Can't imagine. How's your son? Is he?
Playing baseball.
Where's he? Rio Grande?
Yeah. I'd like to get him up here.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a JC down there. He didn't have the grades. He was offered preferred walk-on at Bowling Green, Kent State, Toledo. But they gave him some money down there. It's NAIA.
Yeah.
NAIA. You go where the money is.
Yeah.
Real quick, sorry, in the last game, you guys had to shut down maybe the nation's top running back. Now you've got the nation's top receiver. Is there one challenge in your mind more difficult than the other?
No, they all pose their own little challenges. You know, I think the unique thing about this one being different is everybody talks about, you know, obviously it being Amari Cooper, but the reality is that there's a lot of other challenges out there as well. I think that's the biggest difference between playing a team like Wisconsin, where, you know, you really had one big threat. You know, you didn't really think some of the other guys probably in the reality of things could beat you. So you were able to focus a little bit more on that specific thing. I think the thing that makes Amari and these guys so difficult is if you do put all your focus to Amari, I mean, you got TJL and you got a lot of other opportunities and things that really make it difficult for you. So I don't know that one in particular is a tougher, but when they got guys around them, that makes it a lot more difficult.
I mean, when you're dealing with so much talent, I guess, you're trying to figure out how to do the job with the least amount of people. But is there one guy who you think you can cover one-on-one, Amari Cooper? Is there anybody in college football who can do that?
Well, I mean, I don't know. We're going to see. You know, and that's the challenge. That's why you play the game. You know, I think the biggest thing is you got to have some balance. You know, if you do one thing the entire night and think you're going to get away with it, that's where the problems come in. The ability to be able to mix up and change up and keep guys guessing and on their toes, that you're not always doing the same exact thing. You know, it's not like you're doubling them every play. You're not like you're singled up one-on-one. It's not like you're pressed. It's not like you're playing off and allowing, you know, all the room and the space to work. But your ability to be able to change up a little bit throughout the entire game, make those adjustments and be able to adapt, you know, can keep them on their toes.
That works both sides. I mean, obviously you want to keep them guessing. They're going to try to keep you guessing. But They're pretty well balanced, though.
Very, very well balanced. I think that's, like we talked, that's balance is the key to a lot of the things that you do. And anytime you get in that rut of doing the same thing over and over and over again, that's when good teams, good coaches, and people are going to take advantage of you. So your ability to be able to adjust and adapt, change things up is key to a ball game like this.
We have time for one more question. Coach, if anyone has one, and we'll flip rooms.
How are you going to spend New Year's Eve?
When is New Year's Eve? With 6 kids at home, it'll be as soon as they go to bed to get some rest myself. So they all made the trek with us down here. So it's, it's New Year's Eve every night when I go back to the room.